Good evening and welcome to Edessa the Dark Crusade, Season 2. We find ourselves tonight within the Court of Candles, a new-ish place to meet, mingle, socialize, and conduct business for the Canites. As we start our scene tonight, one of these Canites, who is just sitting on a pile of, on a couple of pillows, in her fairly, it's not too fancy, it's fairly regular clothing. It's just sitting with her legs crossed, reading a book that has seen better days, but she's still reading. And yeah, she's just sitting around. She's been conversing a little with person here, person there, but nothing major. She's waiting to see if there's anyone she knows, or someone who she might need to talk to.
Okay. Yeah. Irene will walk into this newly set up court of candles. Will hand her candles back at the doorman, and doesn't have any weapons on her ever. Walk in. We'll see Madeline sitting there. Curtsies. Good evening,
Oh,
Madeline.
Irene, please come, sit, join me.
As you wish. She'll walk over, sit down.
I have
How have you
been
been?
busy these last
Mm,
couple of nights, so much to see to, but it is always good to share a night with you.
Indeed.
So, I trust that you have not been bothered by some of the troublemakers in the city.
I don't believe I've ever been troubled by any troublemakers in the city.
Hmm. I was speaking of infernalists.
Ah, I see. Um, well, it's been quiet. It's more like a silence before the storm. Something big is about to happen soon.
I know,
You do?
because you say it. And if there's one thing I know is that you seem to know such things for a good reason before most others. She smiles to her and just rubs her chin a little with her finger, just with her thumb, like almost like you would do with a child. And she just smiles to her and just gives her an encouraging smile. Well, remember, if you see, hear, feel anything more concrete, let myself, the Primogen, know.
Of
Best,
course.
best of us, best of all, Ulrich, but time
Yes.
might be a very delicate thing when first things are set into motion.
Well, you were there at the slaughterhouse, right?
Yes, I was.
That was the last time when I saw something.
Hmm. You said as much.
Most important thing I feel right now is that we take action on those things that we know. So we need to I think it's important that we gather all our information and act on it real fast.
I still need to find time with the sheriff and coordinate so that we can meet each other when the next gathering, the next meeting is in the Naples quarter of this cult that is, I suspect, undoubtedly connected.
I have no doubts. This cult is something I still need to investigate as well. We're both in the nobles' quarters and in the poorer districts of the city.
The somber conversation is interrupted somewhat by Thorvald and one of Hewat's guards laughing boredly. They seem to have not noticed that they've been in a back room drinking and talking, and they're exchanging stories of conquest and battle, and it's quite obviously a conversation for bar rooms and not for polite society. So when they both walk in and see that Madeline and Irene are there, they both look sort of slightly embarrassed and give little bows, and the guard wanders off, and Thorvald will bow to them both. Good evening.
Sir Thorvald, a pleasure to see you. Would you join us?
Thank you. He looks between them, sort of wondering why they both look so somber.
Because they're La Sombra.
Le somber. Puns.
Gods.
Emma's gonna punch me.
Oh, yeah.
Thorvald sits down and he looks to Madeline, who's said nothing so far.
She has a fairly collected expression on her face as she just looks at you. Thorvald, hound of the city.
Not a hound. I only assist my good friend Memnon. I have no official title.
I see. And
Those
it takes about like 5 seconds more before Madeline's like very stern and fairly collected look just begins to crack a little. Her smile begins to form as she looks at him.
He smiles at her affectionately. And he looks to Irene. Are you both well?
Yes, I'm fine. The nights have been quiet lately.
Seems that a lot of the problems in Riverside are being dealt with, which means that you may be getting closer to ending the curfew.
That would be the first step, but I am somewhat concerned that an end to our troubles is far, far away.
I think it depends on what troubles you're talking of. When it comes to the violence in Riverside, I feel it's good that it's getting more quiet there.
I am quite convinced that the Infernalists, if not totally, are at least partially behind this. And I do not see them as being waning in strength.
You mean that they are behind the change in Riverside?
No,
Oh,
not entirely. But I am sure that some of the unrest has been due to something they've done. And perhaps they have changed their location. I do not know.
mm,
It
I
is but
can
a guess.
I can assure you that the change in Riverside has nothing to do with Infernalists. But the uproar, I feel, is very likely to be part of their plan. And the fact that nothing changed as Riverside became more quiet might indicate that indeed they have concluded their business there. I would not know.
From my investigations, a lot of the problems in Riverside seem to be of a, he sort of shrugs, unremarkable criminal nature. Petty theft, fraud.
Let us hope that the City Watch will keep everything in check there then.
I wouldn't trust them to roast the hog, but we can't police the entire city ourselves.
I think some of the City Watch can be trusted. You just have to find the right man for the right place.
He nods.
During this conversation of security and city watches, a new face appears. He he gives his candle wrapped in some cloth to the doorman and steps inside. He then looks around and spots two faces he's seen before and one he has not. He then slowly makes his way over there, bows very deeply, and says, "Good evening, all of you. Mr. Torvald, Miss Irene. What a pleasant evening."
Sir Asher, it is an honor to meet you again.
The honor is completely mine.
Madeline gets up and she'll walk over, curtsy. She will say, "Good evening. I do not believe we have been formally introduced."
My loss entirely, ma'am. My name is Asher. I came to the city not only a few days ago, and I am a Ventru neonate. Pleasure to meet you, Miss Madeleine, it was?
Yes, normally I would. mm, Normally I am referred to as Sister Madeleine, but Madeleine will more than suffice. I am Ancilla of Clan Nasambra, and welcome to this most illustrious city.
May I ask right off the bat, why do they call you sister?
Mm, Because I call myself Sister, to remind myself of a time long past.
Are we not all brothers and sisters?
In a certain way, yes. But I suppose one can be brother, one can be sister in, well, quite a few different ways.
Um, Not at all familiar with Christian dogma and titles people give themselves. Asher simply nods politely, not really knowing how to retort to that.
She smiles at him for a moment. She just looks at him and just, do not worry. Do not worry at all. You have not missed much. She just says with a smile.
Still utterly confused at what she's referring to, not missing the entire clue, he simply smiles and um, takes a seat with the group if they allow him.
Thorvald simply greets Asher with well met. And then when he sees him looking a little bit confused in the wake of Madeline's conversation, he smiles and he just leans and says, "Don't worry, she confuses everyone."
That'll make him feel slightly better, as he felt incredibly stupid for a second ago, but clearly, um, she might not only be La Sombra, but slightly Malkavian as well. Um, he will then look at Irene and say, "I'm sorry if I disrupted your conversation. It wasn't at all my intent."
Please, the conversation is public, and the company is always good. Don't feel like you're intruding on something.
I'll try my best. Thank you very much for your hospitality.
It's not mine to give, but you are most welcome to sit here.
Thord shoots a playful smile at Madeline. He often thinks he knows that she's ambiguous on purpose. So he shoots her a sort of knowing look as he leans back in his chair.
Madeline sits down, and she just closes the book she has with her. And she just says, "So, Asher, of Plan Ventru, what brings you to this city? It's quite a tumultuous time."
I was unaware of the tumultuous time. I had very much trouble getting into the city because of the curfew. Obviously, travel has become very, very hard.
Hopefully it will soon end, as we discussed just before you arrived. It
That's
seems to be heading in the right direction.
that is wonderful to hear.
It has been going on too long, but hopefully.
Yes, I hope not many of our kind younglings suffer because of this.
Kennets are an adaptable breed, but a series of unfortunate events before your arrival in the city brought the curfew on.
I
Well,
always I always assume that some are more adaptable than others. Not everyone is built so incredibly ferocious when it comes to confrontation.
He smiles. I find that intelligence is the best adaptability you can have. A strong man can still serve. You must learn to anticipate and integrate with your environment to survive properly.
I suppose.
as for the young in our fair city, I believe it was worse during the plague.
Yes, I heard your city suffered greatly under the attack of the plague.
Oh, it did. But that is behind us, as well as this curfew soon will be, hopefully. But is it? Well, of course. I will not put my nose where it does not belong. But if you are willing, what brought you here in the first place? Business or trading?
Neither. What brought me to this city was the fact that you had a Ventru prince over here.
Ah,
And I think a Ventru should support a Ventru whenever he can. It strengthens the family, I'm sure you're well aware.
oh, quite, quite. Some might say the duty of neonates and ancilla to support their elders.
I can only say that I agree fully.
Be good for Sheriff Gerard, to have some more company.
Yes, he's been most welcoming my
Really?
arrival. Yes, he has.
Hmm, that is interesting. I suppose there is special treatment for the family. It's okay.
I often wish for more company, but Gangrel rarely stray into the cities.
Yes, it was a surprise finding you here. Not that I think that it is not right for you to be here. I'm just meant that it's rare to see one of your kind within our city walls. So very impressive.
I have my commitments in the city.
As I suppose we all do. Once you enter the protection of the prince, you do owe him, obviously.
I serve the prince, in obviously, but also I feel that Gangrel must adapt to city life as civilization grows. Nature often shrinks, and the key to survivability is adaptation.
As you said. Well said. Very interesting. So you're looking for change and adaptability.
I'd like to be able to live as well in the city as I could in the country, and be variable, depending on the needs put down by my primogen and the prince.
I would very much like to hear more about your theory. Seems like you've given this much thought.
Oh yes, Torvald is a very adaptable person. He has only eye for one thing in this city: adapting himself and becoming. And pretty much everyone can say that Madeline is just smiling. She's obviously like saying this in a jesting manner towards Torvald. As she smiles at him. A dedicated member of his clan.
Yes, as Sister Madeline knows, as she's been a humble witness to my dedication since I've been here. He retorts playfully.
Obviously missing all the extra layers in this conversation. Um, he simply asks, so, Lady Madeline, our sister Madeline, as an ancilla in this city, you're here uh, as a long member, or have you also recently arrived?
Well, I lived here for quite some time, but my clan's studies into certain things of my clan took me away quite some time ago. 2 decades ago, I believe. 2 or 3 decades. So I went away and returned half a year ago, give or take. I used to be the seneschal of this fine city, under Baron Ulrich. It seems it probably was a lifetime ago for a normal kind, but it is a great city. The one place in this world I do believe I would call home. I am certain that if you have spoken with Gerard, that you have been shown all the places to see in the city and how to get around, but if you require any directions or anything, I can assist you as well.
Thank you, very kind for offering. But yes, like you, I like to stick to my own crowd, so to speak. And since I am a neonate, taking time from a distinguished future of a distinguished former seneschal would be too much.
Not at all. It is my duty to teach when I can and when the pupil is willing.
You are a teacher of kind?
In more than one way. I do believe, and she looks fairly genuine when she just looks to both Irene and Torvald and says, I do believe our company here can attest to this.
And what would you be teaching, if I may ask?
Quite a few things.
Could I have an example? It's so hard to request teaching if you have no idea what to ask for.
Greater insight into social interactions. Certain things hidden away in our blood. Insights into one's own place in this eternal night of ours. Ways of things that we share the night with. Quite a few things.
Indeed, quite a few things.
I can say that I've become more of a thinking man since I spent time with. He indicates both to Irene and Madeline. The assembled company.
And might I say that we are all richer for it?
I led a soldier's life and a slave's life before this one, so my education was not fully formed, but both the honoured lady's presence have been helpful.
Well, I assume at some point one of our kind has found it promising to make you one of us.
He just nods. My sire is the Gangle Primogen, Gaia Aurelia Crassus, a woman who isn't soon forgotten, and I hope to one day honour in some way, though I am yet young.
I'm sure a very hard job indeed. I can still sense the loss that you might feel over her.
It's been an adaptation, but coming to this city from Europe, quite a different environment for us, but we'll adapt.
You come from where?
Italy originally,
Right.
but we've travelled across Europe. I was in her service as a retainer for 200 years before I was embraced.
Oh, my lord. It's a long time.
Certainly is. Understandably, we had to move from place to place before people suspected and the veil was broken.
Of course, that makes a lot of sense. But still.
Sure. May I ask, what is your profession? I am a teacher. Torvald is a soldier, but expanding his horizons.
It's not a bad question. How do I say what I am? I'm a shashit, but it's a Hebrew word. Technically it means I am Jewish, and my profession is I teach people to become what I am, which is a butcher, so to speak, fully inclined of our Jewish rituals.
Ah, I see. Ah, I see.
But
To make to
my
make
profession has made me teach a lot recently.
not only to carve the meat, but to assert that, or to maintain and assure that all of the right customs are observed, so that the Hebrew can safely imbibe the food.
I make sure that whenever the Jewish and Muslim man or woman eats their food, they are assured that it is kosher, which is technically a long lesson to explain, but generally speaking, it means it's pure in the eyes of God.
I am aware of, well, the gist of it, I believe. She smiles, just quite a dedication, especially now, since you are embraced, since you are one of us.
I am indeed. However, my passions for this have not changed.
Intriguing. And even more, well, honorable, commendable. You can no longer imbibe food, but yet your commitment to this, your profession, is just as strong, I think. If that is the case, then you have my congratulations.
The way I look at my profession is to provide food in a gentle and juster manner for everyone, the rich and the poor. And if I should stop, then where would my people find new young men to learn of their ancestry and their trade?
Well, the worst thing that could happen is that they would starve, and they would be forced to learn and adapt to their hunger.
But they don't have to.
No, they do not have to. But who knows? Perhaps some of them might learn very valuable lessons out of
I think that the lessons that we need to learn are all in the good book.
it. There will actually be a little laugh.
He frowns on that.
I mean, Irene even slightly frowns at that.
Thorwald says, Madeline, I'm sure you can attest to living a life once to the good book.
Yes, but I have heard of at least 3 different books referred to as the Good Book, which I am assuming that can only be one of these is the Good Book, which presents a problem.
Well, then let's make it more specific. Since you are correct, it is hard to find a good among something if it's all dark and bad. So I would rather say then that it would be my book, which would be the Talmud.
Hmm.
I've seen too many people argue and kill each other over religion in my life. More than enough.
And none of that shall be tonight.
No.
My exclamation notwithstanding, I have my answer. She just smiles and nods slightly at Asher, as she seems to have gotten something placed, I suppose you could say, mentally?
I see it varies from place to place. From where I hail, it is the holy Christian religion. But here it is mixed. Provides much insight into other perceptions. He shrugs slightly. He doesn't seem to mind too much.
Still, in some way, Asher is trying to think about a new way to avoid this posing discussion, as it were, and he decides to choose a pacifistic way, so to speak. And he rises up and he says, "Well, Mrs. My lord, I have to bid you farewell again. It has been a pleasure meeting all of you once more. Next time I hope it will be a little bit longer, but duty calls."
Safe travels.
Have
And,
a very good evening.
and he rises up from his seating position and he makes his way to the exit.
Thorwald shoots a look at Madeline of amusement mixed with disapproval.
She has her business-like smile. On. You have both met this man before?
Yes, he's been to a few nights here. He seems amiable enough, level-headed.
One of the very good, well, as far as I have found, qualities of the Ventru. Most of them are quite practical and level-headed, I suppose you could call them that. There is one thing I would like to tell the both of you. Hopefully, soon, there will be a new watering hole, I suppose you could call it. We might have, well, I might have need for someone to try out certain things. I will return with details later. But you might get an invitation from me or Memnon at some point in the future. I hope so, but the curfew and the problems have delayed our plans somewhat. It will come in time.
A watering hole?
Yes.
I do not see how I could be of any use with that.
A tavern.
Well, my answer remains the same, I'm afraid.
I simply wish to see how easily you can walk, sit, talk in that place. I wish, well, we wish to make it a safe place for our kind.
It's not quite the done thing of ladies of refinement to be frequenting watering holes.
Well,
He chuckles.
Then perhaps it is time for Irene to start learning to. Yes, you are a lady of refinement, but honestly, as Torvald must learn to navigate himself in the higher echelons of society, be able to speak of mm, topics that was not of his mm, station previously. He is making great strides. As such, you must be able to do the same.
I understand.
No pressure, of course. It is simply just a suggestion. And I will, perhaps soon, be able to provide quite safe places for you to practice if you wish.
Well, I am more than willing to practice this and to accept this challenge. That means I will need to buy a new dress.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Or do you disagree with that?
Hmm. I am simply trying to picture what kind of dress you would bring, but I suppose I will have to live in anticipation.
Well, I suppose something not too standoutish.
Hmm.
I dare say you would stand out anywhere you went, Lady Irene.
I may hope that that is not the case.
Well, but Torvald, tell me one thing. How are things going with Margot?
In what sense, my lady?
Hmm. You spending time with her?
He sort of shrugs, not sure what Madeline's getting at. We spend time together, we learn things from each other. I'm helping her adapt to be more survivable in less refined terrain, forests and combat. She's competent, exceptionally competent for. He's about to say a woman, and then like looks at the assembled company, and he's just like, maybe not.
Hmm.
Due to her background, she's formidable in combat.
Oh, I have seen her.
Despite the disapproval of much of her clan, she seems to enjoy my company.
Well, it is a scandalous thing for a Primogen, or for an Ancilli to spend so much time with one such as you.
He frowns a bit at that.
Madeline has a very bright or very wide smile on her face. She is like, it's clear that she's joking.
I don't think Margot concerns herself with the opinions of others that much.
Which is one of the reasons I do like her. You can say a lot of her, but this I will give her. She has heart. She has spirit. That no one can take away from her.
Let us hope that.
Hmm. Well, I do believe I must be getting on with the night's business, but it was good to see the both of you. Please remember, if you know anything,
I will let
or
you
if
know.
yes, I hope you still have time, but we should all be vigilant. Let's have a very good evening, the both of you.
To you as well, Lady Madeline.
He bows his head to her.
Madeline curtsies and leaves.
Lord sighs. Well, it would be delightful to sit here and do nothing, but unfortunately, I have a business to run now.
Of course, I would hate to keep you from your business.
Stay safe and keep me appraised.
If I find anything of importance, I'll make sure to let all of you know.
He bows and he'll make his way out.
And Irene will sit there for a while until she also slowly will get up and take her leave. And with that, we will end the scene. Thank you all players for playing, and we'll see you again in Edessa, the Dark Crusade. Bye bye.